Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to do something a little different. We are going to engage in a bit of mental time travel.
I like the sound of that.
I want you to close your eyes. Unless you're driving, please don't do that. And picture this. It is February 2026. We are standing in the absolute heart of Media City, UK in Salford.
A fascinating place to be. Even just standing there in the imagination, you can feel the energy.
You really can. You look around, and what do you see? You see those massive, shiny glass facades reflecting that classic gray UK sky.
Of course.
You see the buzzing studios of ITV and the BBC towering over the water. You can practically feel the electricity in the air. It's a booming tech sector, a legal hub that is absolutely exploding.
Right.
By all accounts, if you were looking at a spreadsheet of the region, this is a massive success story.
On the surface, absolutely. The economic indicators for Greater Manchester and Salford specifically in early 2026 are strong. Revenue is up, interest is high, investment is flowing in.
But, and there is always a but on this show, Steph.
Always. If there wasn't a but, we wouldn't have much to dive into.
Exactly. So if you zoom in past those shiny windows, past the reception desks with the nice plants, into the boardrooms and the open plan offices, you find something that doesn't quite fit the picture.
A disconnect.
A huge one. You find business owners who are incredibly stressed. They're turning away work. They have record revenues, sure, but their operational capacity, the ability to actually do the work, is completely stagnant.
This is what we're calling the Salford Paradox.
The Salford Paradox. It sounds like a Robert Ludlum spy novel, doesn't it?
It really does.
But it's actually a nightmare for these business owners. You'd think having too much work is a good problem to have. Oh no, I have too many customers. Whatever shall I do?
It is a good problem until it becomes a structural failure. When you have high demand, but you physically cannot execute on it, you get burnout, you get reputational damage, and you get what we call growth friction.
Growth friction, that's a visceral term. It sounds painful.
It is. It's that grinding sound when the speed of your business development outpaces the reality of your operations. It's the sound of your engine redlining right before it blows a gasket.
And that is the mystery we are trying to solve today. Why is this happening in a thriving economy like the UK? Why is hiring failing these local firms?
And more importantly, is there a fix? Because we aren't just here to admire the problem. We're here to find solutions.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we've got a stack of research here. A white paper titled Productivity Unlocked, which specifically looks at the Salford landscape. And we're also going to look at the operational model of a provider called vConnect.
Right. And we are going to explore a concept that might sound a bit technical at first, but is actually quite revolutionary. Structural arbitrage.
Ooh, fancy words early in the show. Structural arbitrage. I'm intrigued.
I know, bear with me. We're talking about using South African talent to solve this UK capacity crisis. And we're also going to look at something that I find incredibly relevant given the last few years of tech history.
Which is?
The human-in-the-loop workflow.
That is the part I am most excited about. It's basically how to save content marketing in an age where everyone is, deeply skeptical of AI.
Precisely. So we have the problem, the Salford Paradox. And we have a potential solution involving geography, economics, and some very smart systems.
Let's jump right in then. Let's unpack the problem first. Part 1 of our outline. The broken economics of UK hiring. Because I think a lot of people listening might be thinking, you just hire more people. If you have the revenue, if the bank account is full, just hire a new person.
If only it were that simple. It's a common misconception.
Right. So let's look at the math. Let's say I'm a business owner in Salford Quays. I run a digital agency or maybe a mid-sized law firm. I need a content manager or maybe a paralegal. I see a salary of, say, £35,000. That sounds standard for a mid-level role, right?
That is the headline number. That's the number you see on the job ad. But any seasoned business owner knows that the headline number is a bit of an illusion. It's the tip of the iceberg.
It's the sticker price, but not the out-the-door price.
Exactly. The white paper we're reviewing breaks this down mercilessly. That £35,000 salary, it's roughly 60% of the true expense.
60%? Wait. That seems incredibly high. I mean, I know there are taxes and things, but only 60% feels like a typo.
It's not a typo. Let's walk through the hidden multipliers. First, you have employer national insurance. That's 13.8% on earnings above the threshold.
Okay, 13.8%.
So for a 35K employee, that's immediately adding over £3,500 to your bill. That doesn't go to the employee, that goes straight to the state.
Okay, so we're already up to nearly £39,000 before we've even blinked. And that's just the first most obvious cost.
Then you have the pension. It's mandatory. 3% employer contribution via auto-enrollment.
Just the legal minimum.
Just the minimum. That's another grand, roughly. And that's the bare minimum. Many competitive firms offer more to attract talent. So, that can easily be 5% or more.
So we're creeping over 40,000 pounds now.
We are. Now, how did you find this person? Did you just stick a handwritten sign in the window?
In this market.
Yeah.
In 2026, no way. I probably used a recruiter. Or I spent weeks on LinkedIn Recruiter myself, which is time I wasn't billing, time I wasn't managing my team.
Exactly. That's an opportunity cost right there. But let's assume you used an agency to get it done right and save your own time. Recruitment fees for specialized roles in 2026 are running at about 15% of the first year's salary.
15%. So on 35,000 pounds, that...
Over 5,000 pounds, just to get them in the door.
Wow. That is a check you write for the introduction.
That's a finder's fee.
A very expensive finder's fee.
Mm.
And that's before they've done a single day of work. That stings.
And we aren't done. Once they are in the door, are they productive on day one? Can they just sit down and start delivering value?
No, of course not.
Right.
They need training, onboarding.
Yeah.
They need to figure out where the coffee machine is, what the password to the server is, how we file our expense reports. There's a whole culture to learn.
Exactly. The estimate in this paper is that onboarding and training consumes about 15% of first-year productivity. That's another 5,000 pounds in lost time and resource allocation you are paying them to learn, not to earn.
And that's not even counting the time my senior staff have to spend training them, taking them away from their own work.
That's an excellent point. It's a drag on the whole team's productivity. Plus, you need to buy them a desk, a good chair, a computer, software licenses, all the equipment. The paper estimates that at about 4,200 pounds for a standard setup.
So I'm adding this up in my head, and I'm getting scared. 35,000 pounds plus 3,500 pounds plus 3,000 pounds plus 5,000 pounds plus another 5,000 plus 4,200 pounds.
I'll save you the math. That 35,000 pounds employee actually cost the business $54,324 in the first year.
Wow. Just wow. That is a massive difference. You're talking about nearly a 20,000 pound markup on the sticker price. It's more than 50% extra.
And that is a fixed cost. That is money out the door regardless of whether business slows down next month. It's a heavy anchor to tie to your boat.
It really changes the risk profile. If I'm a small business owner, finding an extra 20,000 pounds lying around isn't easy. That's likely the entire profit margin on the first few projects that employee works on.
Precisely. And that's just the money side. But there's another factor the source material highlights, which I think is even more stressful for the business owners I know, the time factor.
Yes, let's talk about time. Because in a fast-moving economy like Salford's media sector, time is essentially currency. If you aren't moving, you're dying.
The data from this Productivity Unlocked paper shows that the average time to hire for a mid-level marketing role in Greater Manchester is now 47 days.
47 days. That's a month and a half.
That's a month and a half of that role being empty, of the work piling up, of your other employees looking at that empty chair and sighing because they have to pick up the slack. It breeds resentment.
And that's for a general role, a marketing manager. What if you need someone specialized?
If you need a legal secretary with family law experience or a technical SEO expert, that timeline stretches past 70 days.
Over 2 months. That is a quarter of the year gone before you've even filled the seat.
Imagine you are a law firm. You land a big new client. You need support now, but you can't get a qualified body in a seat for 2.5 months. What happens in the meantime?
The existing staff work late. They get burned out. Mistakes happen. Deadlines get missed. Clients get angry because emails aren't answered instantly.
Or you just say no to the client. Sorry, we're at capacity. And that is the tragedy of the Salford Paradox. You are leaving money on the table because you can't hire fast enough.
There's also the fear factor, isn't there? We talked about the cost, but there's the risk of hiring the wrong person.
Huge. And that leads to the permanence problem. UK employment law is very robust, and rightly so. After 2 years, employees gain significant protection against unfair dismissal.
Which is great for workers' rights. We aren't arguing against that. It's important that people feel secure in their jobs.
Absolutely. It's a vital safety net for society. But we have to acknowledge the behavior it creates in employers, specifically small business owners. It creates a specific hesitation.
A fear of commitment.
A huge fear of commitment. If I hire someone for a surge in work, say a big 6-month project, and then that work dries up, I'm stuck.
You are married to that headcount. You can't just let them go easily.
Employers are terrified to hire for surge capacity because they cannot easily downsize if the market shifts. It creates a rational incentive to underhire. You run your team lean, you redline your engines, because the alternative, being overstaffed with unmovable costs, is existential. it can sink the firm.
So naturally, people look for alternatives. They want the hotel room, not the mortgage, right? And the most obvious one, the one everyone talks about, is the gig economy. Upwork, Fiverr, those platforms.
Right.
Why isn't that the fix? I mean, I can go on Upwork right now and find 1,000 people who say they can do the job.
You can, and many people do. But the source material calls this the two-sided marketplace flaw.
Unpack that for us. What is the flaw? These platforms, Upwork, Fiverr, they are agnostic, they are neutral, they don't care about the outcome of the work, they care about the transaction. They take a fee from you and a fee from the freelancer. Whether the work is brilliant or garbage, the platform gets paid.
So there's no skin in the game for the platform. They're just the toll booth on the motorway.
None. They have no vested interest in your success. And this leads to what they call the ghosting phenomenon.
Oh, I have heard horror stories about this. People just disappearing mid-project.
It's rampant because there is no employer-employee relationship. The freelancer has no real loyalty. If a better paying gig comes along, or if they just get overwhelmed, they vanish. They just stop replying to your emails.
There's a quote in the source material from an ops director in Salford. He said he posted a job, got 47 proposals. Sounds great, right?
Sounds like a dream. You think, I have my pick of the litter here. I'm in control.
But then 3 people ghosted him during the interview process. Just didn't show up to the Zoom call. And the one he finally hired, this is the killer, sent him templates from 2011.
Wow. From 2011. That's just lazy.
It's worse than lazy, it's useless. And that highlights the other issue, which is the survivor bias of the rating systems. You see a freelancer with 5 stars and 100 completed jobs and think, safe bet.
But those ratings often suffer from grade inflation. Everyone gives 5 stars to avoid conflict, or failed projects just don't get rated at all. So you're seeing a curated, misleading version of reality. You're seeing the highlight reel, not the blooper tape.
So let's recap where we are. We had the UK hiring model, which is too expensive, too slow, and too permanent. We have the gig economy, which is too risky, inconsistent, and, frankly, a bit of a headache to manage.
A minefield.
It is. So this brings us to part 2 of our deep dive. The solution that seems to be gaining traction in 2026. The South African edge.
Or, as some are calling it, the Golden Corridor.
Now, I have to ask, why South Africa? Is it just random? Did someone throw a dart at a map and it landed on Cape Town?
It is not random at all. It is, as the paper puts it, geography as destiny. If you look at a globe, run your finger straight down from the UK, you hit South Africa.
Same longitude, more or less.
Roughly, yes. And that means the time zone magic is real. South Africa operates on SAST South African Standard Time. That is GMT +2.
Okay, so 2 hours ahead. That's manageable.
In the UK winter, like right now in our scenario of February 2026, it's a 2-hour difference. But here is the kicker. In UK summer, when we jump forward with daylight saving, the difference is just 1 hour.
1 hour. That's incredible. It's basically the same working day. Compare that to, say, the Philippines or India, which are the other traditional outsourcing hubs.
Huge difference. The Philippines is GMT +8. That's 7 or 8 hours ahead, depending on the season. India is 5.5 hours.
So as I hire someone in Manila...
Think about the workflow. You send them an email at 9 a.m. UK time. It's 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. their time. They are finishing their day. They might see it, but they are tired, or they are logging off to have dinner with their family.
You don't get a reply until the next morning, my time.
Exactly. It introduces a 24-hour lag into every single conversation. It kills momentum. If I have a quick question, hey, did we send that invoice? I have to wait a day for the answer.
It destroys agility. It makes teamwork impossible.
Exactly. Destroys agility. But with South Africa, you send a request at 8 a.m. UK time. It is 10 a.m. in Cape Town or Johannesburg. They are fresh. They have had their coffee. They are at their desks. You are working in parallel.
You can actually collaborate.
You can jump on a call. You can Slack back and forth. It's not fire and forget. It's work with. It's a game changer for any role that requires interaction.
That seems like a massive operational advantage. But what about the cultural side? I mean, sharing a time zone is great, but do they understand the business context? Do they get the humor? Do they get the unspoken rules?
This is where history comes in. The source material emphasizes this cultural and linguistic compatibility.
So is the language barrier an issue?
Actually, it's considered a strength. Because of the historical ties between the countries, the legal and business systems in South Africa are heavily British influenced. English is the primary language of business.
So they aren't just translating words. They understand the concepts. They know what a VAT return is. They know what company's house is conceptually.
Exactly. They understand how a contract is structured. They understand the flow of a business meeting. And there is a nuance here that I love. The source mentions that South African VAs understand British code.
British code. Do tell. What do you mean?
You know what I mean. If a British client says, "That's quite good," or "I have a few minor comments,"
Which actually means, this is terrible, please redo it immediately.
or at least, "This needs significant work." In some cultures, say, American culture, quite good is taken literally as high praise. They might high-five each other. A South African professional, generally speaking, understands that specific, slightly understated, formal but not obsequious tone that UK business runs on.
That is subtle, but I can see how that saves so much friction. Misunderstanding tone in emails is the cause of so many business disasters.
It creates a sense of ease. You aren't constantly translating your intent. You can just speak naturally. You can be yourselves.
Now let's talk about the money again.
Yep.
Use this term, structural arbitrage. That sounds like something Wall Street bankers do. What does it mean for a small business in Salford?
It basically means getting high value for a lower cost due to economic differences between two markets. And I want to be clear, the source is very specific, that this is not about exploitation.
Right, that's important. We aren't talking about sweatshops or paying people pennies.
No, the cost of living in South Africa is significantly lower than in the UK. A skilled professional there, someone with a degree, maybe 5 years of experience, can earn a very solid middle class living on a salary that would be below minimum wage in the UK.
Let's look at the numbers provided. What does that actually look like?
So a skilled professional in SA might earn between R15,000 and R25,000 per month. In pounds, that converts roughly to 625 through and 40 pounds.
Wait, that's their monthly salary for a skilled professional.
Yes. And in South Africa, that buys you a good lifestyle. A nice apartment, a car, dining out. It's a comfortable middle-class existence. But for a UK firm, paying £1,000 a month for a full-time skilled role, that is transformational.
But the client isn't paying the worker directly, right? Because we're talking about this provider, vConnect. There's a company in the middle.
Correct. vConnect charges the client more than that wage, obviously, to cover their infrastructure, management, training, profit margins. But even with that markup, the cost to the Salford firm lands at about 40% to 60% of the cost of a UK hire.
So everyone wins. The worker gets a good local wage and job security, and the business gets massive savings and flexibility.
That is the definition of successful arbitrage. It's sustainable for the worker and the business. It's a win-win.
Okay, so that's the why. Why South Africa? Why the economics work? Now let's look at the who. We've mentioned them a few times, vConnect. They seem to be the case study for this model.
They are. And they are interesting because they've been around a while. This isn't some fly-by-night startup.
Yeah, founded in 2008. That's ancient in tech years. That's pre-iPhone 3G.
It is. Originally called Limetree Consulting. They rebranded to vConnect in 2014. The CEO is a woman named Karen, described in the material as an entrepreneur focused heavily on systems and processes.
And the big differentiator here, as we touched on, is that they are not a marketplace. They aren't just an app connecting two people.
No, they are an employer of record. That's the key phrase.
What does that mean legally and practically for me as a business owner?
It means the virtual assistants, the VAs, work for vConnect. They have employment contracts, they get paid holidays, sick leave, benefits, and support from vConnect. The UK client is essentially leasing the talent.
So if the VA gets sick or needs training or has an HR issue,
vConnect handles it. You, the client, don't have to navigate South African labor law. You don't have to worry about tax withholding in a foreign country. It's a massive shield for the business owner. All that complexity is abstracted away.
that's a huge relief. But how do they ensure the quality? We talked about the Upwork roulette earlier. How do they avoid that?
Their vetting stats are pretty aggressive. They claim only 8% of applicants pass their process.
8%. That's Ivy League acceptance rate territory. That's very selective.
It is. The process involves skills assessments, scenario problem-solving, reference checks, personality profiling. It's not just verify your email address and start working. It's rigorous. They are filtering for problem solvers, not just people who can type.
I noticed in the source material they have some, let's call them creative names for their internal programs. It seems to be part of their company culture.
They do. But the names aside, the intent is impressive. It shows they treat their staff as humans, not software licenses. It's about investment.
Tell us about Vivarsity. It sounds like an internal university.
That's exactly what it is. It's their internal training platform. Think of it like a private Udemy or Coursistic par. They use it to upskill their staff on tools like Xero, Asana, Google Workspace, HubSpot before they ever meet a client.
That is crucial. There's nothing worse than hiring a pro
and then having to spend your first week teaching them how to use Slack or schedule a meeting in Google Calendar.
Exactly. They come ready to go. Then they have Atomic Energy.
Sounds explosive. What's that?
It's a wellness program. They provide access to dietitians, exercise coaches, mental health support.
For remote workers, that's quite forward-thinking.
Yes. And this is smart. Remote work can be isolating. You're sitting at home. Maybe you don't move enough. If you have a physically healthy, mentally supported worker, they show up. They have energy. They are resilient. They aren't burnt out.
And finally, VPness, I have to ask.
VPness, the happiness program. It's a system that measures engagement and satisfaction between the client and the VA. They do regular check-ins.
It sounds a bit cheesy, but I get it. A happy, engaged worker doesn't ghost you.
Precisely. It's retention engineering. They are building an infrastructure that prevents that gig economy turnover we talked about. They want these VAs to stay for years, not weeks. They're building careers.
Okay, I want to pivot to something that I think is the most futuristic part of this deep dive. Part 4, the human-in-the-loop strategy.
This is fascinating. This is where the rubber meets the road for marketing and knowledge work in 2026.
We are on 2026. AI is everywhere. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they're just part of the furniture now. But there was a moment, wasn't there, a turning point where the gold rush ended?
The source points to March 2024, Google's core update. It was a seismic shift.
What happened? What did Google do?
Google declared war on scaled content abuse. Basically, people were using AI to spam the internet with thousands of low-quality generic articles to game the search engines.
5 ways to tie your shoes.
Yeah.
Written by a robot that has never worn shoes, that kind of stuff.
Exactly, and Google crushed them. Some sites saw 60% to 90% traffic crashes overnight. It was an extinction event for lazy content farms.
Ouch. A bloodbath.
At the same time, audiences got savvy. The stats in this paper say 73% of people claim they can spot AI writing, and 81% trust brands less if they use it lazily. There's a sort of uncanny valley of text. It feels hollow.
So the paradox here is, AI makes writing cheap and fast, but if you use it badly, you get penalized by Google and hated by your customers.
Correct. So how do you solve that? You don't ditch AI. You're not a Luddite. You put a human in the loop.
Walk us through the workflow described in the white paper, because this feels like a blueprint for anyone listening who creates content.
It's a specific recipe. It's a system. Step 1, use AI Claude or ChatGPT to create a draft or an outline. This takes maybe 15 minutes. It does the heavy lifting of structure and basic info. It defeats the blank page, which is half the battle.
Okay, so you have a skeleton, a first pass.
Step 2. A VConnect content specialist, a human with expertise, spends 90 minutes rewriting, editing, and enhancing it.
90 minutes, that's a significant amount of time. They aren't just spell checking or running it through Grammarly.
No, absolutely not. They are doing 3 specific things. First, adding EEAT.
EET, sounds tasty. What does it stand for?
It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. It's Google's metric for quality. The human adds specific examples, personal anecdotes, nuanced opinions, case studies, things that the AI, which has only read the internet, simply doesn't have.
Right. The AI has data, but it doesn't have life. It hasn't been to a conference in Salford or dealt with a difficult client.
Exactly. Second, tonal calibration. Fixing that robotic, flat, overly formal tone that AI often has, making it sound like the brand. Is the brand witty? Is it serious? Is it academic? The human injects that personality.
And third, this one seems important.
Fact verification. Checking for hallucinations.
Oh, the hallucinations. When the AI confidently tells you that a court case happened in 1899 when it actually happened in 2005, or just makes one up entirely.
Or it invents a statistic. The human verifies the stats, checks the sources, ensures everything is accurate and defensible. That's the trustworthiness part of EET.
So the result is,
Yeah.
what's the output of this hybrid process?
The result is you get 3 to 4 times the volume of content compared to a human writing from scratch. But it's at 40% of the cost of a UK writer, and the quality is indistinguishable from human writing because it is human writing, just accelerated by a very fast research assistant.
There's a case study here about a digital agency that used this exact process.
Yes. They use this method to publish 140 blog posts in 6 months.
140 posts. That's huge volume. That's almost one a day, every working day. Most small businesses struggle to post once a month.
And their rankings jumped from an average of position 30, which is basically invisible on Google, page 3 or 4, to positions 8 through 15. That is page 1 or top of page 2. That is real traffic, real leads, real business.
That is the power of the hybrid model. It's not human versus AI. It's human plus AI.
Exactly. Exactly. It leverages the speed of the machine with the soul and the judgment of the human.
Let's get down to brass tacks. Part 5, the ROI, the return on investment. Because all this sounds nice, but does the bank account agree?
The source provides a decision matrix with a financial breakdown. Let's look at the effective hourly cost, which is a really useful metric.
Okay, hit me with the numbers.
Option 1, a UK hire. When you factor in everything we discussed, salary, NI, desk, coffee, training, lost productivity, it comes out to about £26.28 per hour. And remember, that comes with low flexibility.
£26.28.
Okay, got it. Option 2, Upwork or a similar platform. You might see a freelancer advertising a rate of, say, £20 per hour. But the effective cost, when you add in the management time, the rework, the platform fees, the ghosting, is actually closer to £31.50 per hour.
Wait, so the freelancer is actually more expensive than the full-time employee on an effective hourly basis?
Often, yes, because of the inefficiency, the churn and burn. If you spend 5 hours explaining the task to 3 different people before you find one that works out, that's expensive time you've wasted.
And option 3, V-Connect. What's their effective hourly cost?
£18.96 per hour.
So significantly cheaper than both.
But it's not just cost, it's productivity adjustment. This is a concept I love from the paper.
Effective productivity, what does that mean?
It means what percentage of the hour you're paying for is actual productive work. They estimate that office workers are only about 70% productive.
That feels generous, honestly. With all the meetings, coffee breaks, gossip, birthday cakes.
Freelancers, around 60%, because of time zone lag, miscommunication, and the friction of managing multiple clients.
But the V-Connect model, with its systems and focused tasks,
They estimate roughly 85% productivity.
why so high?
Focused tasks. When you assign work to a VA in this model, it's usually very clearly defined. Do this report, clear this inbox, prepare these documents. They aren't getting pulled into random office politics or a last-minute all-hands meeting. They are laser-focused.
That makes sense. Let's look at the real-world application. The case studies really bring this to life. There's a legal firm mentioned.
Yes, this is a classic example. The solicitors, who bill at hundreds of pounds an hour, were spending 40% of their time on administrative paperwork.
Which is a catastrophic waste of a solicitor's brain and billing rate. You don't pay a solicitor to file paper and format document.
Exactly. They hired a V-Connect paralegal based in Johannesburg. This person took over the document prep, client onboarding forms, and scheduling. The result, the solicitors billed 30% more hours.
30% more revenue just by offloading the admin. That pays for the VA 10 times over. It's a no-brainer.
Then there's the tech startup.
The founder who is drowning in admin. I think a lot of listeners can relate to that.
Absolutely, spending 3 hours a day on admin. Scheduling, email management, booking travel, finding flight tickets. He hired an executive assistant via ViConnect. Saved 15 hours a week.
15 hours is 2 full workdays, basically. That's huge.
And what did he do with that time? He focused on the one thing only he could do, fundraising. He went out and raised a £400,000 seed round for his company.
And the cost of the VA for a year?
Probably around £12,000 to £15,000.
So he spent $15K to unlock £400,000 of investment.
That's a 33-to-1 return on investment. That is the definition of leverage. You're buying back your most valuable asset, your time.
Okay, I'm sold on the concept.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work? Part 6, implementation. If I'm a business owner listening to this, how do I actually integrate a person who is 6,000 miles away into my team and my daily workflow?
The source outlines the day-to-day mechanics. It's surprisingly seamless because it's built around modern collaboration tools.
Flex hours seems to be a big selling point, the ability to scale up and down.
It is. The bank your hours system. Say you sign up for 80 hours a month. 1 week is crazy busy, you're preparing for a product launch, you use 30 hours, the next student's quiet, you only need 10. You don't lose the hours, they roll over or adjust within the month.
So it adapts to the surge and ebb of project work.
Exactly. Unlike a full-time employee who you have to pay to sit there, even if it's quiet. You're paying for output, not presence.
And the tech stack? Do I have to buy them a computer, set them up with software?
Usually they are equipped, but the key is the software integration. They come pre-trained on the big ones. Slack, Teams, Asana, Monday.com, Xero, HubSpot, the whole suite of modern business tools.
So I just create a user account for them in my Asana and invite them via email?
Pretty much. And the communication protocols are strict. This isn't a hands-off thing. Daily check-ins are required. And that 4-hour minimum overlap window with UK business hours is mandatory.
So you are guaranteed to have them online when you are online for at least half the day.
No 24-hour waiting for answers.
Exactly. It's designed for real-time work.
So we have covered a lot. Let's do a bit of strategic advice here, based on the paper's decision matrix. When should a business use what? Because you're not saying fire everyone and hire South Africans.
No, absolutely not. That would be irresponsible and wrong. This is about augmentation, not replacement.
So when do you use a UK hire? When is that the right choice?
You hire in the UK when you need deep organizational knowledge. Someone who needs to know where the bodies are buried, so to speak. Your head of operations, maybe. Or if you need in-person collaboration, someone to physically be in the room, meet clients face-to-face, or manage a physical team on a factory floor.
Or if you have deep pockets and you need that person embedded in the office culture 5 days a week.
Right. If you can afford the 45K plus and the overhead, and you want that stability and physical presence, go for it.
When do you use freelancers from Upwork?
One-offs. You need a logo designed. You need a voiceover for a single video, something where the timeline doesn't matter much, and once it's done, it's done. It's transactional.
And when do you use a managed service like vConnect?
When you need consistent, ongoing support. A role that exists every day. Executive assistance, paralegal support, ongoing content creation, bookkeeping. When you need specialized skills, but you want to save that 40–60% on cost. And importantly, when you value that time zone alignment for collaboration.
That seems like a very clear framework. It's not one size fits all.
It's about the right tool for the right job.
So we've arrived at the conclusion. We started with the Salford Paradox, this idea that success can actually break a business if you don't have the capacity to handle it.
And we've seen that the traditional solutions hiring locally or using gig apps have significant flaws in the economy of 2026. They're too slow, too expensive, or too risky.
The South African solution, specifically through this managed model like vConnect, seems to offer a middle path, a third way.
It balances quality because of the managed model and vetting, time zone because of geography, and cost because of that structural arbitrage. It's a trifecta.
It's about rethinking where work happens, isn't it?
I think the firms winning in Salford in 2026 aren't necessarily the biggest ones. They're the most agile and efficient ones.
Yeah.
They've realized that local doesn't have to mean in the same room. It can mean in the same time zone.
It's a shift in mindset as much as a shift in operations.
Absolutely. It's a fundamental change in how you build a team.
I want to leave our listeners with a provocative thought, something to chew on as they drive to their office or walk their dog.
Go for it.
If your competitor is using human-in-the-loop workflows to produce 4 times the content you are, at half the price, and they're using all the time and money they save to meet your potential clients, how long can you afford to keep writing everything yourself?
That is the question that should keep people up at night. It's an arms race of efficiency.
And on that happy note, seriously though, take a moment and consider if you are suffering from the Salford Paradox, too much opportunity, not enough hands. The solution might be further south than you think.
Indeed. It's worth a look.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.